The anti-jungle invasion is now here on official server. Hey guys, what's up? So we just had a balancing update on official server. First up is the jungle area adjustments. You'll now take 20% more damage when you're in the enemy jungle for the first 2 minutes of the game. Yes, you heard that right. As you can see, I receive more damage when I'm in the enemy side of the jungle. Remember though, this buff will only happen on the first 2 minutes of the game. The developer said it's a way to give a safer environment for junglers who are weaker in the early game. Basically, it gives assassin junglers a fighting chance against those tanky invading junglers. But remember, it's only in the first 2 minutes. So it's an indirect buff for those junglers who are level 4 reliant. Next is the buff on Gusion. The damage on his passive is now based on the enemy's max HP instead of the old current HP. That's 3% per stack and it can stack 4 times. That means a fully stacked Gusion can unleash a scary 12% max HP burst. Perfect against those tanky enemies. Here's an example of his damage. As you can see, the damage is pretty high against tanky HP enemies. Next is the buff on Aamon, where both his first and second skills are getting cooldown reduction, meaning you can unleash your shard attacks more often. And there's more. His passive camouflage duration is also getting extended with an additional 0.5 seconds. That means you can stay invisible longer. Next, we have the buff on Julian. They increase the damage of his enhanced basic attacks by 25 points, which I think is huge. Base attack speed is also increased by 11%. And to top it all off, skill 1 will have a higher base damage in the early game. All these buffs combined should make Julian a pretty fast jungler, ready to gank those lanes at level 3. Joy will also receive a buff. Her basic attacks are getting a 40% boost to their physical attack scaling, which will make her early game jungle clear noticeably faster. Her ultimate is also getting a cooldown reduction of 4 whole seconds, from 32 down to 28 seconds. That's a pretty big deal, especially when you use cooldown reduction items. Could this be the buff that finally makes Joy a viable pick in the current meta? Next is Barats. His passive, which was a key source of his tankiness, has been nerfed. It now provides 1 less point of hybrid defense per stack, meaning at full stacks, you're losing out on 10 physical and magic defense. Ouch. But wait, there's more. His first skill, the trusty tool for clearing jungle camps, has been hit with a double nerf. The attack scaling is down 40% and it'll only deal 50% damage to jungle creeps. This means lower jungle clear times for our dinosaur hero. It's a tough blow for Barats players, but remember, even with his nerfs, he's still a force to be reckoned with when played well. Next is the nerf on Fredrinn. His third skill will have an additional 2 to 1 seconds of cooldown. The developer said his crowd control was a little too frequent, making him a bit of a nightmare to fight against. So while he'll still be a force to be reckoned with, you'll need to be a bit more careful with your timing and positioning. Harith has been dominating the gold lane lately, and it seems the developers has taken notice. This patch brings a couple of nerfs to the time-traveling Leonie. First, his base HP has been trimmed down a bit. This means Harith won't be quite as tanky in the early game, making him more vulnerable to ganks and all-ins. But that's not all. The shield on his second skill, a crucial part of his survivability, has also been reduced. This means he'll have to play a bit more cautiously. This might just be the shakeup the meta needed. With Harith a bit less dominant, we could see some new faces emerging in the gold lane. Next is the adjustment on Roger. While his base HP has been slightly reduced by 200, the developers have given him a little extra love in his wolf form. You'll get an additional 15 points of hybrid defense early on, making you a bit tankier when you transform. It's a trade-off, but let's see how this will play out in the early game. Last one is the buff on Chip. His first skill will now give more shield when hitting multiple targets. Ultimate will have 2 changes. Teammates will now gain shield when entering his portal, and portals will now appear nearer to his teammates. And that's it for our official server update. Remember, this is already live on all servers. So when you play rank, tell your teammates to avoid invading at least for the first 2 minutes of the game. That's all for this video. Stay safe and thank you for watching.